Hey everyone, this is Mr. Molo for this lesson on solving two-step and multi-step equations. So kind of similar to yesterday then, we're going to have a process for what we're looking to do here. So kind of like yesterday, if we see an adding problem, we're going to subtract. We see a subtracting problem, we're going to add. We see a multiplying problem, we're going to divide. We see a dividing problem, we're going to multiply. The only difference with today's stuff is there's two steps on these first couple that we're going to do. And kind of opposite of what you would think because of order of operations. But our first step on all, I shouldn't say all, but about 99% of these problems is our first step is going to be looking to add or subtract. There's one kind of problem that we'll get to where we don't add or subtract first. But for most of the problems, like I said, 99%, we're going to be looking to add or subtract first. So again, here, if we look at this problem written in black, so 4a plus 10 equals 18. So it says plus 10 here. So my first step would be to subtract 10 from each side. So if I subtract 10 minus 10, those cancel, it's 0. So I'm still left with that 4a over there. 18 minus 10 is 8. So I'm left with 4a equals 8. Now step 2 would be to multiply or divide. So 4 times a, so I'm going to do the opposite of timesing by 4. I'm going to divide by 4. So on the left side here, I'm just left with a. And on the right side, 8 divided by 4 is 2. So my answer is a equals 2. And then remember with these, we can always go back and double check. So 4 times 2 is 8, plus 10 is 18. So we know we did it right. If we get something like 17 equals 18, we must have messed up somewhere. Okay, here we go. This problem in blue. So I have negative 4 plus 7x equals 3. So again, first step we should be looking for is to add or subtract. Here, since I have a negative 4 or minus 4, whichever word you want to use, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So add 4 to both sides. So here they cancel, so I'm just left with 7x. 3 plus 4 is 7, so I'm left with 7x equals 7. Then second step, multiply or divide. It says 7 times x, so I'm going to divide both sides by 7. Divide both sides by 7, so 7 divided by 7 is 1. So x equals 1 for that problem. Next here, I have 5x minus 7 equals 3. So same thing, first step, add or subtract. So it's a minus 7. So I'm going to look to add 7 to both sides. Negative 7 plus 7 cancels. I'm still left with my 5x. 3 plus 7 is 10. And then remember our second step is to multiply or divide. So here I have 5 times x equals 10. So since it's 5 times x, opposite of timesing is dividing, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So 10 divided by 5 is 2. And same thing, if I double check that, 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 7 does equal 3, so I know I did it right. Here, same thing. I have 2p plus 10 equals negative 4. I'm going to end up subtracting 10 from both sides since it says plus 10. So subtract 10 from the right side of the equal sign. Subtract 10 from the left side of the equal sign. Negative 4 minus 10 is negative 14. So I'm left with 2p equals negative 14. Again, it says 2 times p. So I'm going to end up dividing both sides by 2. Those cancel. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then negative 14 divided by 2 is a negative 7. All right. This next one, so these are the problems I was talking about. So these problems might look the same. N divided by 7 plus 2 equals 2, and n plus 2 divided by 7 equals 2. But these are the ones I was talking about. These are two very different problems. So this one on the left here, I'll do it in green. So this is a normal problem. We're still going to follow our two rules up here. So I'm going to be looking to add or subtract first, and then multiply or divide. So here I have a plus 2. So I'm going to minus 2 from each side, minus 2 from each side. So I'm left with n divided by 7, and 2 minus 2 is 0. Here I have n divided by 7, so the opposite of dividing by 7 is multiplying by 7. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7, and in this case, 0 times 7 is 0. So I'm left with n equals 0. Now for this problem, I'll do in blue, even though they look the same. This is the one problem, like I said, 99% of the problems, we're going to look to add or subtract first, and then multiply or divide. This is the one problem where everything is underneath a number where we can't do that. We need to multiply or divide first. So here, instead of adding or subtracting, I'm going to multiply first. I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. 7 and 7 on the left side cancel. So I'm just left with n plus 2 equals, and then 2 times 7 is 14. So this is the one kind of problem. I can't add or subtract first. Otherwise, my answer is not going to make sense. Okay, and then I have a plus 2. So I'm going to end up subtracting 2 from each side. So I'm left with n equals 14 minus 2 is 12. Okay, and then I can go back and double check it. 12 is n, so 12 plus 2 is 14. 14 divided by 7 does equal 2. Here we can go back and double check it. 0 divided by 7 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. So the math does work out, so we did it the right way. Otherwise, if I would have done this the wrong way, and my answers would have been flip-flopped, so if I put 12 in for this green problem, well, 12 divided by 7 is some weird fraction, plus 2, well, that's not going to equal 2. Or same thing over here. If I put in 0 for n, 0 plus 2 is 2. 2 divided by 7 is not 2. So that's not going to work out. So we have to make sure we follow those steps. Otherwise, our answer isn't going to make sense there. Okay, here now we have some multi-step problems. So these problems, we're going to have more than one step before we can do those 2 steps. So this one, we can combine some like terms. So here I have 8x minus 5x first to give me 3x. And then I have 3x minus 21 equals that negative 15. Add 21 to both sides, add 21 to both sides. So I still am left with my 3x here. Negative 21 or negative 15 plus 21 equals 6, and then divide. So we just have this one step beforehand of combining my x's before I can get into my 2 steps. Kind of the same thing here. 2a plus 3 equals minus negative 8 equals 8. So same thing, I'm going to combine my like terms here. So 2a and a negative 8 gives me a negative 6a plus 3 equals 8. And now I can do my 2 steps. So it's a plus 3, so I'm going to minus 3 from each side. So I have negative 6a equals 8 minus 3 is 5. And in this case, we're just going to get a fraction as an answer. That happens sometimes, so divide both sides by negative 6. And I can't simplify that, so just a equals 5 over negative 6. All right, this one in blue, it looks like we have some distributing to do before we can do those 2 steps. So here I have 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Plus 2x equals 40. And then same thing, I'm going to combine my like terms here. So I have a 4x and a 2x. That makes 6x minus 8 equals 40. Now it looks just like a normal problem. So I have 6x minus 8. So I'm going to end up adding 8 to both sides. So 40 plus 8 is 48. And then 6 times x. So I'm going to end up dividing both sides by 6. So 48 divided by 6 is 8. And that's pretty much as hard as it'll get today, where we have those multi-step problems where we have to distribute beforehand. Otherwise, if we stick to those rules where we're looking to add or subtract first and then multiply or divide, we should be fine on these problems. There is actually one more kind of a problem I want to do here, where once we find our answer, then it tells us to do something else. So here, if I solve for this problem, so I'm going to distribute this negative out. So I have 3d minus 9, distribute that negative, so plus 2d then, 2 negatives equal positive, equals 51. So I'm going to combine my numbers here. So I have 3d, and now plus 2d is going to give me 5d minus 9 equals 51. So let's add 9 to both sides. So I'm left with 5d equals 51 plus 9 is 60. And then last step, divide both sides by 5. Divide both sides by 5, and we figure out that d equals 12. Okay, so that might be one answer, but then if you read the directions, it says find the value of 3d. So this is 1d equals 12. So we have 1d equals 12. We need to find what 3d's equal. So we could just plug that in and multiply it by 3, or we can figure out what the pattern is. So if 1d equals 12, 2d equals 24, 3d equals 36. I know you have one like this on your test coming up next week, where it asks you what the value of whatever 5d is on there. So just so we can kind of see that question, when it asks this, what's the value of 3d? Well, we still need to find d first, and then multiply it by 3. So then on the test, you would write 36 as your answer, not 12 as your answer.